What's good, y'all? Welcome to my review for episode 37 of Stone Ocean. And, bruh, I have no words for this episode. Like, I know I mentioned it, I don't know if it was last week or the week before that I said, oh, this is my favorite episode of Stone Ocean after just saying that about Father Pucci's Origins episode. Well, I gotta say it again, bro. This is probably my favorite episode of Stone Ocean so far. Like, this episode was absolute insanity. Like, this is easily like a top 10 favorite episodes, or like somewhere around their favorite episodes of JoJo, man. This episode's amazing, bro. Shocking. A lot of amazing shots in this one. And I am just a loss of words just from what we witnessed, especially during like the last 5 minutes of the episode, bro. Like, the last 5 minutes of this episode are legit insanity. Like, it is actually insane. But anyway, I have rambled on long enough. Let's jump right into the actual episode. So we start the episode off right where we left off last week with Father Pucci telling everyone that he is going to kill him for the betterment of humanity. And I love he says, it's nothing personal. I you guys see my reaction. The same he said, there's a problem, like, it's nothing personal. It's just business, you know, like it's a fucking Godfather movie, man. It's fucking, like, literally, once I saw it live, man, all I could think about was the Godfather movie. So, now, this is something I've been mentioning in my reactions for the episode, but I haven't really mentioned that many times in the reviews. I've always been kind of wondering, I kind of theorized this at the start of this, start of the final core of Stone Ocean. I'm wondering, when is Emporio gonna be, using a gun? Because the OP, we see him packing heat, but so far we haven't seen him touch nearly no revolvers. Well, I finally got my answer. You guys know, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned this when I was theorized about the OP in the first trailer, in the first reaction, or in my first review of the third core, that I theorized that maybe Emporio that I theorized the gun is actually Emporio's stand, and he awakens it, and it works similar to sex bullets, or to sex pistols, rather. Well, my theory was wrong, because it's actually, I guess, part of his body, because he screams, and once he pulls it out, because right here he pulls it out, it says gun, ghost, pistol, and goes to fire it off at Father Pucci, who obviously quickly dodges. So yeah, I guess it just goes with his ghost powers, or whatever the hell he is, or however his abilities work. Either way, it's not a stand. So my theory was wrong, but hey, whatever. But hey, at least I finally got to see Emporio actually grab the gun, because like I mentioned before, I've been really wondering, because we're like on the second to last episode of Stone Ocean. Man still hasn't picked up a gun. When the hell is he gonna be picking up a gun? Why does he have a gun in the OP, bro? Well, finally got answered. Anyway, like I said, he fires at Father Pucci. He obviously dodges it and starts spinning around the rest, and just kind of starts spinning around them. By this point, they're all wondering. Jolene tells him that bullets aren't going to work on Father Pucci, but this is all a part of his plan, and that he actually put one of Hermes' stickers on the bullets, giving it two. So he fired it off the building right in front of them. He rips a sticker, and then all of them come rushing towards the building, with, of course, Father Pucci hot on their tail. Which, one thing I got to mention right now. I love the effect and the sound effects used for Father Pucci when he's using Made in Heaven. I really dig the look of it. I thought the effects of it looked really good. The sound effects as well when he's using it, when he's rushing towards everyone. It looks great, man. Shout out to everyone who worked on this episode in production, man. The animation here, and I just love the overall style, how they animated and designed Father Pucci when he was using Made in Heaven. I really dig the look of it. I really dug the look of it. Anyway, as they rush over towards him, Father Pucci eventually manages to beat them to it, and then Anastasia tells him to fire another bullet, and of course put a sticker on it, over to the wetlands, and he's going to go over by the ocean. So Emporio does that right when Father Pucci once they start to get really close to Father Pucci, changing their trajectory over to when they get to the ocean, and then once again we see Father Pucci around their tails. He's now running on water like it's fucking Sonic the Hedgehog in that one level of Sonic Unleashed. Or, of course, like Jesus himself. Father Pucci has now finally become Jesus Christ, as he can now walk on water. But he gets chased, and once again, Anastasia has a plan and tells Jotaro that he's going to be basically facing off against Father Pucci. And when Father Pucci goes to attack him, he wants Jotaro to use the world to stop time, to eventually capture him. Now, like I've said this countless times, say what you will about Anastasia being upset and him being a simp for Jolie and everything, and him trying to get this woman to marry him, even though this is definitely their definition of a one-sided relationship. Like I've said countless times, the man puts in the work. because JoJo tells him that he doesn't think that plan will work, or that he doesn't think that Father will keep to his word, and it's more logical that he'll go after JoJo first anyway. But either way, whatever happens, Anastasia has already put Diver Drive into absorb them into everybody within an arm's length. So regardless if he ends up attacking Hermes or Jolene or Emporio, him or JoJo, Diver Drive is going to take the brunt of the attack. And Anastasia, and you got Emporio telling Anastasia that the next attack will definitely kill him, and then Anastasia tells Emporio that maybe it will, but he's had a string of good luck lately. And then he weirdly gets right up in Emporio's face. I'm like, bro, why are you so close to him? Why are you invading the man's personal space like that, bro? You don't need to be this close. Why are you getting in this man's face like that? Anyway, he tells him that he's been getting out of the prison. So far, he hasn't died yet, and he's still holding on hope that that if he somehow survives this, that he'll finally be able to propose to Jolie. He's saying this out loud. Anyone can feel Jolie's right behind him, and then Jolie tells him, "Sure." At this point, I'm like, wait, what? Nani? Can you come again? Excuse me? Did I hear you right, Jolene? I don't know if she's actually agreeing to this, or maybe she's like, sure, propose to me. Because I couldn't tell for certain, or maybe she's just like, yeah, it's the hope we got for this battle. We haven't been defeated yet, so fuck it, let's go with it. I don't know. I couldn't tell if Jolene was actually agreeing to this shit or not. But either way, he tells him, or she tells him that sure, that there's still hope. That sure, just propose. There's still hope left. Your plan isn't full with darkness, and that's all we need. So. Yeah, like I said, I don't know if Jolie means this by she's actually going to agree to this and will marry Anastasia after this. Fuck it, you know what? If he survives all this, fuck it, you know what? I think he's earned it, bro. I think he has earned it at this point. With all this man's been putting in the work. Fuck it, I say he's earned it, bro. I say he has earned it. He has earned the right to get Jolie's hand in marriage. Anyway, Father Pucci ends up meeting him at the other place where they originally get. And then you have Emporio shooting him off into another location before they crash land into the water. They all circle around each other, and Father Pucci starts to spin around. Honestly, I expected him when he was spinning around them. I thought he was going to go so fast that it was going to form a mini tornado around them, like in Naruto. And Naruto, the same thing against Sasuke during the first fight. I honestly thought something like that was going to happen. No such tornadoes were made, as we see as Anastasia tells JoJo that not to wait till after the attack before he goes and stops time. We then see the sun start to rise, and then we get this amazing wide shot of the four of them with just a huge shot of the landscape, of the water, the clouds moving, everything, and the sun slowly rising back up. Honestly, this was probably the best shot part of the episode, and probably the best looking part of the episode, and probably my favorite shot of the episode. Period, just in general. Now, I'm pretty sure the water and the clouds were CGI, especially at least the clouds were, I think, CGI. I don't know. Maybe this was all hand-drawn, but I'm pretty sure that everything but the character models, maybe even the water, was CGI. At the very least, the clouds were. But either way, man, this shot looked amazing. As we saw the sun slowly rising up, bro, it looked amazing. Seriously, shout-outs to all the animators that worked on this part of the episode, man. Shout out to y'all, man. This episode looked amazing. So as the sun starts to rise, Jotaro checks his watch and notices that the minute and hour hands are moving at an even more accelerated rate than before, and that time is going even faster than it was before. We then hear some news reports. We find out that nothing is happening to animals or plants, nothing that's organic matter. Like humans aren't just going to start rapidly aging or anything. They all are doing the same, but instead they are just working. Instead, they are just that basically anything that's dead or not that's inorganic is the only thing being affected by this accelerated time. Outside, of course, the sun and the clouds and everything. The dude demonstrates this by showing off this glass of water. As long as he holds it in his hand, nothing happens to it. But the second he lets go of it, it instantly drops. And then we get to probably the funniest part of the episode, which I feel like whenever we get scenes like this in JoJo, this is a Rocky or just like a mangaka in general, just letting out some frustration, maybe even sending out a cry for help. I can't tell if this is just them venting, or if this is a cry for help about the insane work conditions we have. Because remember, this is still still when JoJo, at this point, this part 6 was the final part when JoJo was still under Weekly Shonen Jump before it got moved to, I think, Young Jump or whatever Shueisha's monthly magazine is, whatever that is. I forget that's when JoJo was moved to that for Steel Ball Run as well as current JoJo on. But yeah, I don't know. This is a Rocky letting out some frustration or crying for help about this. But we get to this mangaka. He's like the number one monthly mangaka. Funny he says monthly manga considering part 7 is when JoJo would go monthly. Like I said, I don't know. Maybe by that point he already knew I'm done with this weekly shit. I'm gonna go monthly for Steel Ball Run or that game later. I don't know. I just found it kind of funny. But this dude's rushing to get through his manuscript. He's scared shitless at how he only got through 1 page in a day. He mentions how the ink is instantly drying as this poor dude is trying to draw this manga, bro. I feel so bad for this mangaka. So then eventually his pen just breaks on him, and then he gets a call, I'm assuming from the editorial staff, where he finds out that there is another mangaka or I think it might even be a weekly mangaka that was able to get in their manuscript in still, even with all this. You want to know his name? Rohan Kishibe, bro. When I heard his name brought up, I popped. I popped big for this one, man. I had a huge pop for this, bro. It was so cool. I mean, I do wish we did get to see Rohan in Rocky's like updated art style that he had when he was at the tail end of him writing JoJo as a weekly series. I would have loved to see him get some dialogue. Sure, for the Dubs case, it would have been something other than Vic talking because we all know what happened with that, which would have sucked anyway. We did because it was not Vic, and you guys didn't watch Vic's performance in part 4. But either way, man, it would have been cool if Rohan actually got some screen time, man. That would have been cool, man. And yeah. But either way, man, I'm glad he got a cameo in regardless. It was still pretty cool to see him, him, even with all this shit, man, still be able to get his manga done, even with all this. This was also probably my favorite part of the episode, honestly, was that scene. I love that. That scene was awesome, bro. That scene was awesome. Anyway, we then get back to Jolene and the others as finally Father Pucci makes his move, and we see a hand go through Anastasia. Jotaro stops time and he goes to pull it out. Right as he's about to attack, he realizes that's actually Stone Ocean, and that Father Pucci used Made in Heaven to, I guess, it looked like from the way it's shot, it looks like he maybe like pushed Jolene forward and thereby made her stand hit him anyway. I'm not exactly sure how he was able to pull it off, just given the way it looks like he might have pushed her or something. Either way, he pulls Jolene's hand out there as the time starts to tick down. But I gotta say, I love that pose of Father Pucci when we see him when he's like levitating up in the air with his hand by his face, man. Love that pose, man. Looks amazing. Love that shot. But then right as Jotaro is about to go in for the kill, he then notices fucking knives. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Father Pucci reuses Dio's move from part 3, man, with throwing the knife, stopping time, and then turning it back on, bro. Once again, I pop big for this callback back to part 3. This episode is so full of callbacks to part 3 and part 4, which obviously I was a big fan because you guys know how much I love those parts. But yeah. Also, Matthew Mercer's performance here was also really good, man. Shout out to him as well, as he managed to get Jolene out of the way, but time resumes as he tries to go and attack Father Pucci. But once again, he ends up missing because Father Pucci, as he says that Jotaro was 2 steps behind him. So by this point, he managed to land another attack on Jotaro that like splits up his face a little bit, and then we see Irma. She gets her arms cut off when she goes for the attack and falls into the water. And then once again, we get Emporio's WVA giving the performance of his lifetime, bro. This man gave once again an amazing performance to him. This isn't even the best part of the performance. When he really shines with his performance, that comes a little bit later in the episode. But bro, like I said before, a few episodes back, shout out to Emporio's WVA, man. He is absolutely fantastic, man. Anyway, so then we get to this one part with Jolene, and I gotta say, Kira's performance here was also really good as well, where she does admit that she did indeed steal a car. I don't know if this was ever confirmed. This was mentioned earlier on in the season. It might have been. I just forgot. But she does admit that she did indeed steal a car once. It was at the supermarket, and that she doesn't know why she did that, but she knows that Dad will come to save her. Which honestly, that's one thing I kind of found kind of interesting about Jolene, is that even though she's like super super tough and everything, and she still does wish that JoJo does save the day in the end. Which I don't know, I think that's kind of cool, and I think that adds some layers to Jolene's character, that she isn't just a copy of her father. She does have a softer side, and she does fear, and that she is scared, that she does want JoJo to come in and save the day, man. I think that's cool, and I think that adds a couple more layers to Jolene's character. And also because I'm a big JoJo fan, so I think it's cool. She was also hoping that her dad saves the day. So there's that too. But yeah, I like that. I really love this scene. So by this point, everybody is on the ground. Everybody is probably dead at this point. Besides Emporio, like I said, his W is given the performance of the ages, bro, with his screaming. Once again, shouts. And then we get Young as he stands for Father Pucci. Although Young's performance here was also fantastic as well. But he stands over Emporio. This is another one of my favorite shots of the episode, man. Was just standing over him with his eyes covered in shadow, man. Looks amazing. And then it's revealed, like I said, this is something else that could have been mentioned way earlier on in the season when Emporio was first introduced, but like we're going back like a whole year, so forgive me if I end up forgetting. But we find out that apparently Emporio's mom is dead, and that apparently Father Pucci is the one that killed him. Now, I think they did talk about his mom a little bit at the start of the season. Like I said, my memory is a little bit hazy of those earlier episodes, so you guys can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But yeah, it's revealed that Father Pucci is the one that ended up killing her. Which I didn't know, but was her death ever shown up in the actual show, or am I forgetting? Once again, I can't remember for certain. Either way, Emporio by this point, with tears in his eyes, grabs his revolver, points it right at Pucci. I'm like, oh shit! Is man gonna do it? Is this little like 10-year-old kid about to shoot this man dead, or at least try to anyway? So he screams out as he unloads his gun. Of course, Father Pucci blocks or dodges all his bullets and tells him to fire the gun and finally become a martyr. But then by this point, we then see after he unloads all his bullets, and then we eventually see Emporio levitate above the air and move around the water before he falls down. Father Pucci starts looking around what happened and finds out that actually it's Jolene. Jolene goes to the attack with Stone Ocean and manages to use one of the knives that was stuck in her midsection, throws it at Father Pucci, and eventually manages to take his eye with him. As she goes back into the water, Father Pucci gets diving in there as he screams, "Joestar!" And like I said earlier in the episode, Young's performance here was fantastic, man. So then we see that Jolene actually connected wrapped her thread around the dolphin, and Emporio's is kind of stuck to it as Jolene's kind of like holding on to it, riding it as Father Pucci's coming right towards him. And for some reason, everybody's able to talk completely normally, completely submerged underwater with no issue. Thought that was a little weird that everyone could talk normally out in deep underwater, with not sound muffled or nothing, bro. There's not even bubbles coming out of their mouth. It's like they're not even underwater, bro. I mean, it's an anime. Who cares about that much of realism? It's like that's something I know. So I'm like, bro, how are y'all talking just completely normally, completely submerged underwater? So Jolene questions Father Pucci as he's coming right towards him. Is he going to be able to, that sure he might be able to catch up to them in speed, but distance is what really matters. Can he stay, how long can he keep swimming? 400, 500, 800 meters? How long can he go? Will he be able to catch up with a dolphin without getting tired or having to go up for air? As this is going on, we see Jolene is bleeding from the wound that she had with the knife in there. It's honestly kind of surprising how she didn't attract a shark with how much blood she was letting into water. You'd think a shark would have come by now with how much blood she was losing. Now, as Emporio was like begging Jolene to get back on the dolphin, first time I got to see the music here was fantastic, man. I think this might be the JoJo death music. I can't tell for certain, but either way, the song they were playing here was absolutely fantastic, man. And Emporio, like I mentioned before, this is when his DFVA really shines as he's screaming out and begging Jolene to get back on the dolphin. And you can actually, when we get a couple wide shots of where the camera's above water, but you can still see them underwater, you can actually see Jolene and the thread get long, but the distance between Jolene and the dolphin gets longer and longer and longer as this goes about, which I thought was a nice touch. I thought that was a nice touch by Dare Productions to do that. But anyway, she tells Emporio that apparently that when a human is riding on a dolphin's back, the dolphin swims it away where the human that's riding on them can never drown. And like I said, Emporio is begging her not to leave. Don't leave me, Jolene. And like I said, Emporio's dub performance here, man, fantastic, man. Jolene was also Kira's performance, like I mentioned before, was also great as well in this episode. But anyway, she says that that the people that have died for you to survive are Anastasia, Jotaro, and Hermes, and that if I keep following you, that Father Pucci will keep coming after me. It has to end here. She then cuts the rope off. Emporio goes off into the distance as Jolene makes her final stand against Father Pucci, where she unfortunately perishes. Then we get back to the real world where we see that time is success so much that the sun isn't even a sphere anymore. It looks more like a shooting star, a beam of light as it goes across. It honestly looked really cool, man. Like seriously, shout out to whoever was working on the background for these episodes of Part 6. They're working on when the time accelerated. Like it looks amazing, man. Shout out to whoever did the background for this episode, man. But anyway, we see the time is now going even more insanely faster. It goes from day to night in the blink of an eye. And we see that when we see fish that are starting to rot because of the accelerated time. And then you got people out there saying, grab the canned food, all the raw meat's gonna go bad before we can eat it. We then see this dude cleaning a window as it starts to crust up more and more before it's completely starting to shatter. We then head back to Emporio as he's crying his eyes out. We get another amazing shot of the sun setting and rising once again. Like I said, it looked amazing. I love the way that Diamond Productions designed the sun and how it is looking like now with the colors they use and everything. It looks really fucking good. And we start to see Anastasia, Jolene, and Irma start to disintegrate before our very eyes, man. I am questioning whether or not all my favorite characters are suddenly dying before my very eyes, bro. But anyway, we start to see other things disintegrate, like the girl's manga volume that she was reading. Some dude's teeth also gets disintegrated, and then and then we also get another amazing shot while Emporio is like back on the dolphin with the sun in the air, with the sun moving and time accelerating. Once again, it looked amazing. As we then see that it also seems the climate needs to also be changing as well, and someone's wondering like what the fuck is happening because we also see like a painting disintegrate, buildings start to go down as well, rock shades start to change as well. Then the fucking water disappears and like the fucking earth, like the ground itself starts to crack open like it's a fucking disaster. Emporio loses his clothes too because dead matter, all the dead matter is disintegrating at a rapid rate. And then we get another amazing shot where we see Emporio getting sucked into I think it's some sort of wormhole or something, or maybe it's meant to be the Milky Way galaxy. I couldn't tell, but it was a pretty nice shot. It was a really nice shot. Really dug that shot. But then once we come back, we see Emporio was back at the Green Dolphin State Prison. Now, at first, I thought that somehow with all the wormholes and timings or so much, and of course he's like a ghost or whatever, that somehow he had reverted back in time, and he's going to try and prevent the future from happening in the last episode. But doesn't seem like any time travel fuckery happened where we see people mentioning what happened with the time acceleration, but everybody's back in the prison. We see a bunch of people also are in the visiting room. I think they're all getting checked into the prison. They're all naked, including one of the security guards. And then the dude knows he's on camera. He's like, "Oh crap! I'm naked on camera. They'll misunderstand," which I thought was pretty funny. And that's when Emporio realizes he's at the Green Dolphin State Prison. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where the episode ends. Phenomenal episode, man. A lot of amazing shots this episode, and yeah, definitely my favorite episode of Part 6 so far. Will the last episode top that even more? We'll have to wait and see when I watch it. But yeah, man. Yeah, don't really got much more to say on that, guys. So overall, my final verdict for this episode is a 10 out of fucking 10, ladies and gentlemen. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like if you did, subscribe if you're new. Follow me on my socials if you feel like it. Links down in the description box below. And as always, come back for more. See you guys next time.